Hi everybody, it's Tatiana, and today I'm coming to do a book review of An Unconditional Freedom by Alyssa Cole. I received this book from the publisher via NetGalley as an e-arc in exchange for an honest review, of course. This is the third book in Cole's Loyal League series. The first was An Extraordinary Union, the second being A Hope Divided. These are companion stories, so you don't have to read them in order to be able to follow the story. However, some of the characters do intersect and cross over as you're going through the series. The main male character in book 3 was actually mentioned in book 1, so I have been waiting for his story since I finished book 1. And yeah, it is finally here. So I am going to read the synopsis from Goodreads in part. I'm not reading the whole thing because I think it gives too much information, and I want to give you a synopsis without giving too much information, and then I'll get into my review. Janita Sanchez didn't pay much attention to the war. She was more interested in balls and potential husbands. In her small Floridian town, she still felt more Cuban than American, and whether the North or South won didn't make much of a difference to her. Daniel Cumberland barely remembers the carefree days of his youth, marked by life as a freedman and days whiled away with Elle. Then a dark series of events changed him forever. He was captured by slavers and subjected to months of abuse. Aimless and unmoored, Daniel agrees to join the 4L, the League of Covert Operatives of Color, helping to take down the Confederacy. It's his last shot at doing something meaningful, an event for the rage that won't leave him. So if you are not aware, the whole Loyal League series takes place during the Civil War, where freedom has been declared, but the South is attempting to hold on to slavery. And so there are these freed slaves or escaped slaves who work with the Loyal League, which is the 4L mentioned in this synopsis, to take down the Confederacy, because they see it as more than just freeing slaves. They have to destroy the institution that continues to allow slavery to exist. First thing, I don't know if this is a typo in Goodreads, but the name is different on the synopsis in Goodreads versus what it is on the e-arc. And those things happen from the advanced reader copy to the finished publication. So I will be reading the finished publication of this because I think that there is some more that's going to be added just because of the page count of the finished copy versus what I believe the page count is of the e-arc that I received. Beyond that, it is well known and established that Alyssa Cole is one of my new favorite writers, and this book I think is very interesting because it takes you and has you looking at these characters in a different way than the characters in the first 2 books. And it took a minute for me to actually get my mind wrapped around what was going on. Alyssa Cole does a really good job of taking what would be and what are, in a lot of cases, taboo topics, and putting them in her novels and just throwing them in people's faces. And I say that in a good way. And I don't want to say what the taboo-ness is of the first 2 novels. If you haven't read them, you have to read them to see. But in this third installation, it is really, really apparent. And I don't want to say what it is in this one, even though when I read it, I was like, oh, this is magnificent that she's putting this in here. But it has to do with the character of Janita. It's Janetta in the advanced copy. So I'm probably gonna say Janetta for the rest of this review. But in the character of Janetta and the life that she's grown up with and who she understands herself to be, and who she then learns that she is as she goes on this journey with Daniel when they are teamed up to go on a mission. Daniel's entire story, what I really enjoyed about that is if you've read 12 Years a Slave, one of the things that I really wanted more of, and of course with nonfiction books, you only get what the author gives you, and Solomon Northup is long gone, so there's nothing else for us to get. But I wanted more of the after effects of his being freed and how he dealt with that after months or years, however long he was in captivity. And in Daniel's character, you get some of that, and you get that emotional withdrawal that you think would be present when this person gets back around people who have not shared his experience. And it's something that happens today when we have people who deal with difficult experiences, regardless of how difficult you may think it is. If it's something that seems trivial to you or something that you just have no frame of reference to understand, we don't tend to do well as a people of empathizing and understanding, or sympathizing and understanding, or taking the time to give care for those people who are dealing with whatever they're dealing with. And that is touched on as probably more than I should have said about Daniel's storyline, but that contributes to some of the anger that he feels, as well as some of the separation that he feels, so that when he gets paired up with this person who seems very green to him, makes him very standoffish at first, but puts him in a position where he cannot ignore some of the things that he sees, some of the things that he thinks, and some of the things that he feels. Also in this, there's a lot more in this story with dealing with and connecting with other people who are enslaved or leaving slavery, and the looks of the South as this whole thing is happening, where if it doesn't matter if you have papers, if you out and you look like you should be a slave, you could be reprimanded, i.e. hung, killed for being out, whether you have papers or not. A lot of that is put into this story, and I think that's more of what I enjoyed about this story, the historical standpoint of it, the personalities that you see and develop and put together with these two characters, more so than really some of the romance parts that I really enjoyed about books 1 and 2. She did something different with book 3, but yet still the same, and I got to enjoy it from a different level. I hope this review is making sense. We'll see what happens when it comes time to edit it, but once I receive my print copy, I did pre-order that. We'll see how Amazon does with the whole pre-order thing. I have this much faith in them, but I have pre-ordered it, and I do intend to read it in print once I get the final copy, because I really believe that there are going to be, or have been, some adjustments made from the advanced copy versus the finalized copy, because there are a few things in the advanced copy that could be cleaned up a little better when it comes to some of the transitions. So once I read the finished copy, I'll let you know what I think about that in comparison to this review. But even with all of that, Alyssa Cole is still a go, and I really enjoy what she did in this story and these characters in this story, and I cannot wait for what comes next. Good gracious, if I have to wait another year for the next installation in the Loyal League series. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But that's all that I have for this review. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a good week, weekend, whenever you see this video. Peace out.